All right, let's get right into it. We're going to be looking at what seems like just a faint smudge of light up in the constellation Hercules. But here's the thing, it's not just any old cluster of stars. This is Messier 92, and it's one of the oldest objects in our entire galaxy. It's a cosmic time capsule that holds the secret history of a galactic ghost.
So our story actually starts with a guy who, kind of funny enough, found this object super annoying. Back in the 18th century, there was this French astronomer, Charles Messier, and his whole thing was hunting for comets. But he kept getting tricked by these fuzzy, blurry objects in the sky that weren't comets. So, to stop wasting his time, he started making a list of things not to look at, a catalog of cosmic nuisances. And yeah, M92 made the list.
And this really shows you the insane difference in scale Messier was dealing with. I mean, on one hand, he's looking for comets, nearby dirty snowballs right here in our solar system. Their light takes just minutes to reach us. But what he kept finding was something else entirely. A distant city of stars whose light has been traveling for nearly 27,000 years to get to us. He had absolutely no idea what he was really looking at.
So, what is this object that Messier cataloged, just so we could ignore it? Let's take a look at the incredible stats for Messier 92, or M92 for short.
First off, its location. It's way, way out there, deep in the constellation Hercules. We're talking an incredible 26,700 light-years away from us. To put that into perspective, the light that we are seeing from it tonight actually left M92 when our human ancestors were first starting to paint inside caves. Just let that sink in.
And it's not just far away, it's ancient, like mind-blowingly ancient. At around 13 billion years old, M92 is one of the oldest globular clusters we know of. It formed back when the universe itself was just a toddler, which gives us this incredible window into the very dawn of time.
The stars themselves are like these pristine fossils. They're what astronomers call metal core, which just means they have only a tiny, tiny fraction of the heavy elements that we find in our own sun.
Now, it's pretty important to know what astronomers mean when they say metal. It's not just iron or gold or what you might think. For them, a metal is literally any element on the periodic table that's heavier than hydrogen and helium. The fact that M92 stars are so low on these metals tells us they formed from that original, super pure gas left over from the Big Bang.
But here's the twist. This ancient, seemingly pristine city of stars, it's not the quiet, peaceful place you might imagine. When we look a little closer, and with a different set of eyes, we find a heart that's surprisingly active and, well, pretty violent.
Yeah, if you look at M92 through a normal telescope, it's this beautiful, glittering ball of light. It looks totally serene. But astronomers had a hunch that there was probably more going on deep inside its super crowded core. So they aimed one of our most powerful observatories at it to see what was hiding in there.
And whoa, did they find something. This is what Chandra, our X-ray observatory, saw. The view completely changed. That calm ball of stars is gone, and instead you see these bright points of intense, high-energy X-ray radiation. They found 39 potential sources, which hints that some seriously energetic, violent stuff is going on.
And when you zoom into that dense core, things get even more chaotic. In there, we find at least 4 or 5 things called cataclysmic variables, which are just as dramatic as they sound. These are violent binary star systems where a dead star, like a white dwarf, is literally sucking material off of its partner star. And that whole process just blasts out these intense, powerful X-rays.
And this violence, it's not new. Scientists figure these energetic systems happened in 2 ways. Some stars were just born together as pairs, while others were created through these chaotic gravitational dances in the cluster's incredibly crowded center over billions of years. So yeah, M92 has been a wild and active place for almost its entire life.
But the secrets of M92 don't end with its violent heart. The stars themselves, the very makeup of the cluster, they tell a family story that is way more complicated than anyone expected.
For decades, M92 was a real head-scratcher. Astronomers would count the stars, try to figure out their ages and stages of life, and the numbers just never matched up with the theories. They called it a subgiant excess, and nobody could figure out why. Was the cluster just weird, or was our understanding of how stars work wrong?
But then, technology caught up. A huge new survey studied over 50,000 stars in this one cluster. And with all that new, incredibly rich data, poof, the mystery was solved. Turns out, it wasn't the cluster that was wrong. It was our old scientific models that were incomplete. And that's the beautiful thing about science, right? It corrects itself. And that correction opened the door to an even bigger discovery.
A 2023 study took an even closer look at the chemistry of these stars and found something just astonishing. M92 isn't one big happy family. It's actually made up of at least two different groups, a majority of stars that are metal-rich and a smaller, separate group of stars that are even more metal-poor.
But the story gets even more complex. As they dug deeper into the chemical fingerprints of the stars, researchers found not two, but three distinct populations of stars, all living together and in almost perfectly balanced numbers. You have a primordial group, an intermediate one, and an extreme one. This is not what you expect to find in a simple star cluster. It's like finding three completely different civilizations all coexisting in the same ancient city.
So, what does this all mean? We have a violent heart, multiple families of stars, a complicated chemical history. All of these clues are pointing towards a pretty startling conclusion about what M92 really is.
Let's recap the evidence. We've got two groups of stars with different metal content. Within those, there are three separate generations. The chemical signatures are just weird, and the most metal-poor stars are all huddled together right at the center. When you put all of that together, only one picture really seems to fit.
The latest research, which is summed up perfectly in this quote from 2023, suggests that M92 isn't a star cluster that was born with the Milky Way.
No, it's something that was left behind.
And that brings us to the final, absolutely stunning reveal. M92 probably isn't a cluster at all. It's most likely the dense, surviving heart of a small dwarf galaxy. Billions of years ago, our own Milky Way's gravity ripped this smaller galaxy to shreds, absorbing all its stars into our own and leaving just its core behind to orbit us like a ghost. That cosmic nuisance that Charles Messier didn't want to waste his time on, it's actually evidence of galactic cannibalism.
And that leaves us with a fascinating and, kind of haunting final question. Our galaxy was built by eating other galaxies. M92 is one of the ghosts of that violent past. So as we look up into the night sky, we have to wonder, how many other galactic cores are out there, hiding in plain sight, each one a monument to a galaxy that isn't there anymore?